Diversity is important in any team or organization, as it leads to a diversity of ideas and innovations, and it minimizes the danger of groupthink. And it is especially important in the US military, where the nature of what they do is very global, and it would be greatly aided by a perspective that is representative of the globe and all of its people. So the research question we're going to explore is, how diverse is the military? The data we're going to be exploring is an Excel file I got from data.gov, which is a catalog of data published by government offices, and this file was published by the Department of Defense. So this data was created by a government employee working in the office of the Secretary of Defense. So it is very reliable information. The data was published in 2010, so it's a little outdated and does not include the Space Force, which is fine considering it's really small right now. So the data contains demographic breakdowns of every person in the military. It identifies everybody based on sex, male and female, race, which includes American Indian or Alaskan Native, Asian, Black, White, Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, multiracial or unknown race, and it also specifies Hispanic and non-Hispanic. Hispanic meaning Mexican, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Latin American with Hispanic descent, and other forms of Hispanic descent, and non-Hispanic is everything else. And my intent is to look at how these demographic categories are represented in the military's population and structure. So first, we're going to take a look at percentages of males and females between the branches. There are significantly more males than females in general, and all four branches are fairly similar in this regard, except for some slight deviations. It seems that the Air Force has is the most relatively balanced compared to the other branches. And the greatest disparity is seen in the Marine Corps. Next, we're looking at a similar chart, except now displaying race instead of sex. There are significantly more whites compared to the other minority races. And it seems to be the case across all the branches. There's a pretty significant deviation in the amount of whites, and we see that the Marine Corps has the greatest disparity. Their minorities seem to be the shortest in their distribution, and we see that the Army and the Navy have a much more comparatively significant distribution of minorities, and the Army actually has the highest percentage of blacks, which is the second most represented race. Next, we are giving the same treatment, except now for Hispanic or non-Hispanic. Same thing, we're looking at a significantly larger percentage of non-Hispanic across the branches, with the greatest disparity seems to be here with the Air Force, and the smallest disparity is with the Navy. And we see this same trend, a lot of non-Hispanics compared to Hispanics, and with very slight deviations. So we're going to be giving a fresh look at our demographic breakdowns. We're going to be looking at rank instead of just overall population, and we're going to be focusing on male and female. So here, looking at how male and female enlisted are distributed across the 9 enlisted ranks. I chose enlisted, because enlisted account for over 80% of the total population of personnel in the data, with the remaining being the officers and the warrant officers. And so what this chart shows is that of the enlisted that are female, these are their percentage breakdowns in each rank. So we see that there is a very high peak here of concentration in the middle ranks, the third rank to the fifth rank. And compared to the enlisted that are male, their distribution is a little more right skewed. They have less of a high concentration in the middle ranks, and they have a pretty significantly higher percentage of E6 and E7 in the higher ranks compared to the females and female enlisted, which means that of the males that were in this data set and enlisted, they reached the higher ranks, at least more so compared to the female enlisted. And so, to conclude, from what we've seen thus far in this snapshot of the military, it does not display a significant amount of diversity between the branches. The proportions are mostly leaning towards white, male, and non-Hispanic in the population and in the rank structures. But it is important to note that this data set and this study is limited in that it is just a snapshot in time of 2010. It does not tell us how diversity in the military has improved or declined over the years, which would be a topic for further research in the exploration of diversity in the U.S. military.